Okay, we're live. Good afternoon.
Good
Good afternoon,
afternoon,
everyone.
everyone.
Hi. Welcome to the De Filipinska Yapsampuni Noria FOS DigiSeminar. I'm Amor, your host for today, an FHS volunteer and a member of the team Newbie in Norway. And together with me is Annalyn. Hi, Annalyn, a fellow FHS volunteer and Newbie in Norway member too. The Filipino Helping Society in Norway is an NGO that provides information drives and awareness campaigns to benefit and help migrant groups in Norway gather the information they need for navigating life in Norway. So, in today's Digi seminar, we are closing the month of May with the topic Labor and Discrimination Law in light of the celebration of the Labor Day earlier this month. So for today's information sharing sessions, we are collaborating with our friends from York, Eurydice Rådgivning, who will give us crucial information on the topic.
Information may or may not apply to your situation. Discretion is necessary.
Yes, and under no circumstances will our organization be held responsible nor liable in any way for any claims or liabilities resulting or arising directly or indirectly from your use of this information we are about to present. So, yes, you can get your pen and paper ready to write down all the information that you might need. So, we, together with York, we'll try our best to answer inquiries and questions at the end of the presentation. So, if you have any questions in mind, just write them down in the comment section later, and we'll be happy to shed some light on it later when we open the Q&A portion. So, yeah, Annalyn, how's the weather there today?
Very
It's a little
good.
bit overshet, what they
Yeah,
call
it's
it,
like,
overshet, as they call it here. Like yesterday, it
yeah,
was really sunny and it was really hot, humid, but now it's a little bit, overshet. Is it good
yeah,
today there?
it's good today. Yes, better than
Nice,
yesterday. Okay,
nice.
let's get it on. Thank you so much, Mr. Moore, for the warm welcome and introduction. Hello to all our viewers and welcome to our live event tackling labor and discrimination law. This DigiSeminar aims to create awareness among viewers and understand of workers' rights and discrimination law. The law prohibits discrimination and respect of employment and occupation based on race, religion, nationality, disability, age, sexual orientation, and gender identity. As of August 2021, the unemployment rate among immigrants was 4% compared with 1.6% among non immigrants. This is according to the Norwegian Labor and Welfare Administration. So today, Norwegian as a society is composed of at least 16% immigrants, making immigrant integration a key issue in labor and employment as well. For those of you who are watching right now, let us know which city or country you come from in the comment section below, and let's make it interactive. I know most of you are waiting for this event because the topic is so relevant to all of us. Joining us this afternoon are the representatives from York, and they will walk us through more about the topic for today.
Yeah, let's
Hi.
welcome our speakers for this afternoon. Hello, Miss Tuba and Miss Rida from Eurydice Rådgivning for Kinder. They are part of the work and discrimination group, which work with, among other things, unfair dismissal, discrimination in the workplace, and sexual harassment. A little bit really heavy topics. Welcome again. Please introduce yourselves and perhaps give a brief description of York as well and what you do.
Yeah. Thank you very much. My name is Tuva.
And I'm Rida, and we work in a group which works with labor law, discrimination, and social benefits. So we will have a slide about YRK in our presentation, so we can talk in detail about YRK then.
Yes.
We do legal counseling for women, so it is totally free to get help from us, and we can help in specific cases. But we also do presentations like this one, and we also do some political work for the problems that we see in our casework system. Yes.
That's
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Thank you for introducing yourself, Miss Tuba and Miss Rida. Without further ado, we would like to give you both the time to share more information about labor and discrimination law.
Okay. Thank you. And we're gonna present here. Let's see if we can get this on. Present. Slides. Share screen. I think. Is it sharing screen right now? Share screen. Window. This one. Share. Okay. Okay. So welcome to our presentation. We're going to talk about labor and discrimination law.
Yes, and we're gonna split the presentation in two. So there will be two parts of 45 minutes, and we have a 15-minute break. But I don't know if we can go through that now, as it's in we just have an hour, but we'll look at it afterwards. So we will be talking about labor law. So it is rules and regulations for when you are applying for a job, and when you are working, and when you're quitting a job. And then we'll be talking about discrimination, which is the rules about discrimination for when you get treated badly because of a specific reason. And at the end of this presentation, we'll let you know more about your rights within labor law, and where you can go and who you can contact if you have any questions.
So our goal for this presentation is for you to recognize discrimination and for you to know about all your rights within labor law.
Yes, so we are YURK, which stands for Legal Counseling for Women. We help with legal questions. That means questions about laws and other regulations. As Tua mentioned before, all help from us is free, and we have a duty of confidentiality, which means we cannot talk about the cases we get with anyone else. We help specifically women, and we are law students, not lawyers, and we have our office in Oslo. So we work with case management, legal political work, and provide rights information. Yeah, so we work with different jurisdictions. So we have different groups who works with tenancy, immigration law, employment, discrimination, social security, children, marriage, violence and abuse, and debts. Yes.
And if you have a question that you think is about a legal matter, but you're not sure, you can always contact YURK to ask if there's anything we can do. We can answer a lot of questions and see if your question is about something legal or about something practical. So if you're in doubt, you can contact us.
So now we're going to talk about discrimination and what is categorized as discrimination in the Norwegian law.
So we're going to talk about the legal definition. So discrimination might look a bit different in real life, but we are going to talk about the rules in the law.
Yeah. So discrimination is basically illegal differential treatment, which means that a person is treated with less favorably without a valid reason to do so. And it can happen anywhere, so at school, at home, or at your job.
Okay. So why should you know about discrimination? It is important to know about your rights and to know about what is legal, because in order to stop discrimination, we first need to recognize it. So it is important to know about this to fight discrimination. Okay, so what is discrimination in according to the law? Discrimination has 3 key characteristics. The first one being differential treatment. So that means that someone is being treated less favorably than others in a similar situation. So it is not discrimination if you're being treated better, but if you're being treated less favorably than others in a similar situation. So the second characteristic is that the differential treatment is because of a ground of discrimination. And we're going to explain what a ground of discrimination is very soon. And the third characteristic is that there is no good reason for the discrimination. So if the first two characteristics are there, but not the last one, that might not be discrimination in accordance with the law. So, grounds of discrimination. The grounds of discrimination in Norwegian legislation are gender, so you can be discriminated because of your gender, because you are a woman or because you are a man, for example. You can be discriminated against because you are pregnant or because you have parental leave. This applies for men and women, and it also applies for parents who have adopted a child. You can be discriminated against because of your care responsibilities. For example, if you are caring for a sick child or a sick husband. It can be because of your ethnicity, and within ethnicity, there's skin color, language, natural origin, and descent. There's also disabilities. So, for example, if you are blind or partly blind, it can be because of your religion, whether it's Islam, Christianity, or you're atheist, which applies under belief. So it can be any belief you have. And there's also age. So you can be discriminated against either because you are young or because you are older. It can also be because of your sexual orientation, because you are lesbian, gay, or because you are hetero, because of your gender identity or gender expression. And these are all the grounds of discrimination that apply in all parts of the community. But in work relations, there are several other discrimination grounds that are also illegal. So age is also especially protected against in work relations, but political views and membership in a labor organization or a trade union is only illegal in work relations. So it is legal to discriminate against someone because of their political views and membership in a labor organization in other parts of the community, but not in work relations. And all of these three key characteristics must be present for something to be called discrimination in accordance with the law. So you must have been treated less favorably than others in a similar situation. This must be because of one of the grounds of discrimination. These are the grounds that we just talked about, for example, because of your gender. And there must not be a good reason for the discrimination. If all these three terms are present, then it is discrimination in accordance with the law, and it is illegal. So we have a question for the participants. We usually do this presentation in front of someone physically, but maybe you can write in the comment section if you have an answer. Sarah applies for work as a cleaning lady. She speaks a little bit Norwegian, but not fluently. Her boss thinks that her Norwegian is not good enough. She does not get the job. Is this discrimination? What do you guys think? Kan vi gjøre sånn?
Ja, jeg tror det. Ja.
Maybe yes. Okay. Someone says maybe yes.
Vi har svaret på det.
Okay. Hvor har de fått answer? Oi. Okay. Yes. Answer, maybe. Okay. So has she been treated less favorably than others in a similar situation? Yes, she has, because she didn't get the job. And is there a protected ground of discrimination? It is because she doesn't speak Norwegian fluently. And as we remember, language is a protected ground because it goes under ethnicity. So, yes, there is a protected ground of discrimination. But is there a good reason for the discrimination? Maybe. I mean, in this case, she's only going to work as a cleaning lady. So the question will be, how much Norwegian does she actually need to know to do her job well? So the question, if there is a good reason, will always be in accordance with the concrete or with the case that we are talking about.
Yeah.
So in some cases, it could be a good reason that the language is not good enough, but in others, for example, when you're working as a cleaning lady, maybe it's not that important for you to do your job well enough.
But she still needs to be able to read the products she's going to use and how she has to use it. So if she cannot completely understand Norwegian, it cannot be discrimination, can be seen as discrimination. But if she's able to do so, and she does not need any more language in this job, then it cannot be seen as a good reason.
Okay, so we'll move on. We have another question. So Sarah applies for a job as a secretary at NAV, and she has more education and competence than the other appliers. But she can only speak and write a little bit of Norwegian, and she does not get the job. Is this discrimination? So this is another type of job. What do you guys think? Ska vi se.
No.
No. Okay. We'll go back. Answer, no. Has she been treated less favorably? Yes, she didn't get the job, just like in the other case. Is it because of a protected ground of discrimination? Yes, it is because of language, and as we know, language is protected. But is there a good reason? Yes, because in order to be a secretary at NAV and to welcome Norwegian customers that don't speak English, you need to speak Norwegian and able to do your job well. So is there a good reason? Yes. And because of that, not all the terms are filled, and this is not discrimination after the law, so it is legal.
Yes, another question. So Sarah gets pregnant while working as a substitute teacher in a kindergarten. When her boss finds out that she's pregnant, her boss tells her she cannot work at the kindergarten anymore. Is this discrimination?
Yes. 2 people have said yes. Okay. Yes, another yes. Okay.
Yes. So the answer is yes. This is discrimination. So she's been treated less favorably than others in a similar situations. Again, she cannot work there anymore. We have a protected ground here. She's pregnant, and it is a protected ground that a woman cannot be discriminated just because she's pregnant. And is there any good reason for discrimination? No. The only reason she cannot work is because she's pregnant, which again is protected ground. So this is discrimination.
So there is never a good reason to not hire or to fire a pregnant woman. And when a woman gets pregnant in her job, her boss has to give her other tasks to do. So it's your boss's job to make tasks that you can do while you are pregnant. And pregnant women also have a special protection in working relationships. So if a woman is dismissed while she is pregnant, they have extra protection. So that means if her boss cannot prove that there is a different reason to her dismissal than the pregnancy, one would assume that it has happened because of the pregnancy, and that would be illegal.
Yeah.
So it is very protected to be. It is very protected against in the work life.
So when it comes to proof, it is you who have been discriminated who have to prove that they have been discriminated against. What you can use in case to prove your case is anything that tells that you have been discriminated, for example, documents, and a conversation between you and your friend, for example, a letter, or any kind of witness. So it means that you have to show that it is more likely that it has happened than it has not happened. So you can use, again, any kind of conversation between your friend and you, or any kind of documents that prove that you have been discriminated. But again, as Tuva mentioned earlier, if you've been discriminated against because you're pregnant, then you do not have to prove anything. It is your employer who has to prove that he has not terminated you because of your pregnancy.
Yeah. So usually you have to prove, or you have to make it
clear.
You have to make it somewhat clear that you have been discriminated against, or make it likely, and then someone has to prove that it is not likely. But when it comes to discrimination against pregnant women, you don't have to prove this, because it is up to your boss to prove that it has not happened. One would assume that it is because of your pregnancy when you are treated different, and it is up to your boss to prove that it is not because of the pregnancy.
Yeah.
So yes.
So yeah, there are some important things to do if you have been discriminated. So you can write down what has happened, the place, and what exactly the conversation, for example, was. And this can also be used as a proof, and it is also for you to remember what actually happened. Yeah. So. Why do you, and another thing you can write is, why do you think you have been discriminated? So on the basis of which ground you have been discriminated. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so where can you get help if you experience discrimination? It is important to know that discrimination can be hard to prove. But if you have a good case and you collect your proof and you write down what has happened just when it happens, or if it's fairly close in time, this will be helpful to your case. So most importantly, you should tell someone if you are subject to discrimination. You should tell someone firstly, because it could help you. It could be a good help for you to have someone with you. And also you should tell someone because it could be proof. If you have a case about discrimination, you could use a friend as a witness, as Rida just described. So some places you can go to for help. Firstly, Diskrimineringshjelpen, which is called the Discrimination Help, and Meglingsbänken, which is I'm not sure how to translate it, but
where two people can kind of talk and have a conversation to kind of
solve a problem. So in short, DIME, and they give counseling and advice if you have questions about racism and discrimination. So racism would be the form of discrimination that is because of your ethnicity. So the contact information is this that you can see here. And they can give legal counseling, and they can help with meeting the police, with the anti-discrimination ombud, or with the discrimination tribunal. And the mediation service, They could also do mediation in cases about racism and discrimination, and they can also do courses in how to recognize discrimination. So the Equality and Anti-Discrimination Ombud, it is a state ombud or a public office, and they give counseling and advice if you have questions about equal rights and discrimination. And their help is totally free, just like us. And here's their contact information. You can contact them if you think you have been subject to discrimination. And they can give you an assessment of your case. Most of the time they can do it by phone, but sometimes they can also write a letter to you about your case. They can give advice and guidance about your case, and they are specialists in the discrimination area. So they could also give some presentations, for example. And the Anti-Discrimination Tribunal, it's a kind of court, but it's really a public administrative body. It's a free court where you don't have to bring your lawyers, and they can tell you if you have been discriminated against or not. So in order to have your case assessed by the Anti-Discrimination Tribunal, you have to send in a complaint to them, and they have to read your case, read your complaint, and look at some evidence, and then they can decide if you have been discriminated against or not. You don't need a lawyer, but you can get help from a lawyer in the case handling there. You can also get help from JURK. Our group, we work with discrimination, and we take some of our cases to Anti-Discrimination Tribunal, where we can represent our clients and write complaints on behalf of them. So if the Anti-Discrimination Tribunal thinks you have been discriminated, you can in some cases get money for it. You can get reparation and compensation. So reparation is money that you can get if you haven't had an economical loss or because of the mental, what do you say?
Because of
the mental damage
yeah,
that you have
problems
suffered.
you have been suffered.
And compensation is if you have had a specific economical loss because of the situation or because of your expenses for example, doctor's bills. So you can get both reparation and compensation if the Anti-Discrimination Tribunal rules that you have been discriminated. Bringing the case for the Anti-Discrimination Tribunal is free, like I said, and here's the contact information. There's also the court. You can, of course, take your cases to the court, but it is more expensive than taking it to the Anti-Discrimination Tribunal. And if you're taking your case to the court, you also need to have a lawyer. So what can the court do? They can also tell you if you have been discriminated against or not, and they can give you reparation and compensation. Yes, it is expensive. And you can contact a lawyer on this website if you want help, Advokaten hjelper deg, where you can find a lawyer in your area that works with discrimination law. You can also use this website to help you find lawyers that work with other types of law, for example, tenancy law or labor law.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have the next part of the presentation now. We're gonna start with that. Okay. From current slide.
Yes. So now we're going to talk about employment and labor law. The most important thing to know here is that it is a law called Working Environment Act, which rules this part of the jurisdiction. And this is the main law which applies in relations between an employer and an employee. It is also an act that is known as a minimum act, which means that you cannot agree to an arrangement that is less favorable than the law says, but you can always agree upon more favors than what the law gives you. Yeah, so as I've said,
Det var väl
yeah,
den.
I can give an example here.
Okay.
So, for example, if the law says that you're entitled to 25 days of holidays, then you cannot agree of having 20 days of holidays because it is below what the law ensures you. But you can always agree upon having 30 days of holidays. So yeah, you can always agree upon something more than what the law says, but not anything less than the law's entitled.
So if you have a working contract that says you have 10 days of vacation and you are entitled after the law to 20 days of vacation, your contract might not be legal.
Yeah, so now we're going to talk about when you're getting the new job, so the stage and the process of being hired. So here are some terms that can be relevant. For example, appointment, which means to get a job or to be employed. Then we have employer, which means your boss. Employee is the person that works for the boss, so it is basically you when you're employed. Employment relationship is the relationship between the employer and the employee in relation to the job. Then we have trade union, which is an organization for people who have the same job as you. So you have to sign up to become a member in union, and you usually pay a monthly fee. And they can help you. There are lawyers who can help you in the cases which occur while you're working. And we have also something that is collective agreement, which is an agreement between the employer and the trade union about the payment and working conditions at the place. So we'll begin with the question. Sarah gets a new job at a supermarket. What should Sarah get from her employer before she starts working?
Let's see. A job offer. Yes. Someone says contract.
Yes. Yeah.
Contract, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're on to something. Okay.
Yeah. So it is very important that she receives a written contract of employment. So everyone, according to the law, has a right to written contract, which means it cannot be an oral agreement. It has to be written on a paper or document. And it is the employer's responsibility to make sure that the employee has gotten a written contract. A contract is, which you guys know, a piece of paper where the most important things in the employment relationship is written. Yeah, and a following question: what needs to be included in the contract?
Let's see if you have any ideas. Appointment. Oh, there's the answer. Job description.
Yeah. That was a good answer.
Yes. I'm not sure if you see what we see, but
yeah. So Sarah's contract must include who the employer is and who the employee is. So your boss and your information, where she's going to be working. So your working place, if it is an office or if there are different working places you have to be, when she's going to start the job. So the date you're going to start and what she's going to do in the job. So as someone mentioned, the job description, what the exercises you're going to be doing, and and descriptions of that. Yes, and it should also mention how much she will be working per week or per month. So if it's a full-time job or if it's a part-time job, and of course salary, if she'll be getting paid per hour, per year, or per month, how much she'll be getting paid and when she'll be getting paid. It should also state the bank account where the salary will be transferred to. It should also say if it's a permanent or temporary appointment. We're going to talk more about this afterwards. It had also have to mention if there is a trial period or not. We're going to get back to it. And the period of notice. So the period she has to work after she has been terminated or if she quit her job.
Okay. So there are some different types of employment. The first one is full-time or part-time. So to be employed full-time means to work 100%, which is 37.5 hours per week normally in Norway, which is 7.5 hours a day from Monday to Friday. And then there is to be employed part-time means to work only sometimes, for example, 1 day per week. This can be all sorts of positions. It could be 1 day per week. It could be every Saturday. It could be 20%. There are many forms of part-time work. You can also be hired, for example, 80%. And some part-time employees also work less than 1 day a week, for example, 1 Saturday a month. So, permanently or temporarily employed. And there's a difference between being hired permanently and being hired temporarily. So the main rule in Norwegian law is that an employee shall be employed permanently. This is because of the employee's economical safety and because of your need to be able to foresee what income you have. So the main rule is that you should be employed permanently. But there are some reasons that can do that it's okay to hire someone permanently. So when can you employ someone, temporarily? When can you employ someone temporarily? It is legal, for example, to hire someone temporarily if it is a summer job, if it's a season-based job, if it's a temporary replacement for someone else. For example, if someone at your job is on sick leave and you are hired to cover for them while they are gone. It is also legal to be hired on a project, for example, to finish a road, and then you are hired for as long as the work goes on, and you'll not be hired when the work is done. You can also be hired temporarily because you are a trainee or because you are in a labor market scheme through NAV. And I'm not sure what this is, the last one.
This will be removed. So
yeah, I think this is an old one that has not been removed. So trial period. A trial period is a given period for you and your employer to see if the job suits you. So a trial period is in the beginning of your employment, and a trial period has to be mentioned in your contract. If it is not mentioned in your contract, you do not have a trial period. It is normal for the trial period to last usually around 1 month, but it depends on the job and how long training you need. But the trial period cannot legally be longer than 6 months. So this is a period where you and your employer will try to see how you work in the job. And there are also different rules for being dismissed in this period because of that.
And you do not need a new contract when you have done your trial period. You will be continuing the same contract that you have signed.
Yes, so the trial period is a part of your contract. So when you are done, you will continue in your job. Okay, so will you take over?
So now we'll be talking about being employed. We can start with the question. What rights and duties do you have when you are employed? the working hours. What was the last one? Do anybody have any ideas? Right to equal pay? Yeah.
Right to equal pay. That's right. Working hours.
And then what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So the answer is the employer has to pay you, and you have a duty to show up to work. So you show up to work, you work, and then you're gonna get paid for what you have worked.
And you're gonna get paid the same as everyone else in your position, equal pay and all of that. Like mentioned in the comments, there are also many other duties and rights that you have as an employee. Now we're gonna move on to a question.
Yeah. So Sarah's contract of employment says that she's going to work every day from 9 until 3. This week she has to work from 9 to 5 every day. Does she have a right to extra payment?
Let's see. Yes. Duties to deliver the job according to the contract for the other.
Yeah.
That's very nice. No. Yes. Okay. So there's 2 yeses and 1 no. Okay, we'll give our answer.
Yes, so of course she has a right to be paid for all the hours she has worked. So she has the right to be paid from 9 to 5, but she does not have a right to get overtime supplements, like extra paid. And that is because she's not worked more than normal working hours. We'll be coming back to what it is. So normal working hours is 9 hours per day or 40 hours per week. And overtime is more than normal working hours. And you have a right to overpayment if you have worked overtime. The overtime supplement is minimum 40% extra salary.
So the law says that you have to get 40% extra after 9 hours, but you could have a deal with your employer that says you have a right to more. And it can sound odd that you get overtime after 9 hours. It is different to what is considered a normal working hours in the work life. But the law says that normal working hours can maximum be 9 hours, and therefore overtime is after 9 hours, even though the normal working hours are 8 or minus breaks.
Yes. So we can give an example. For example, if you usually get 100 kron per hour, if you worked more than 9 hours, then you're gonna get 140 kron for the 10th hour. So for the first 9 hours, you're gonna get 100 kron, but all the hours you're gonna work after 9 hours, you're gonna get 140 kron for each hour.
Yes. So it could either be that you worked overtime one day, so you work 10 hours for one day and you get overtime payment for that extra hour, or it can be because your work week supersedes 40 hours per week, and then you'll get 40% extra salary on the hours that supersede 40 hours. Then we're going to talk about rules that apply if you get sick. We're going to talk about self-certifications, the self-declared sick leave, sick notes, and what rights do you have to stay at home with the sick child, for example. So if you get sick, you have something called self-certification, which is egenmelding, and it is when you let your employer know that you are sick. You always have to let your workplace know as soon as possible if you are too sick to come into work. You can give a self-certification without going to the doctor. So you can do that for a set amount. Let's see how to use a self-certification. You can use a self-certification if you have worked for 2 months or more. So if you have worked for less than 2 months, you have to go to your doctor if you get sick, or you have to let your employer know, but you will not be paid for the day that you are gone. If you use a self-certification, you're going to be paid like a normal working day. So a self-certification can be used 3 days in a row, and you can use the self-certification up to 4 times in the span of a year. So that means in total maximum 12 days. So it can be that you, for example, get sick on Monday, and then you can use your self-certification Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But if you get sick on Monday and use the self-certification, you are back on the job at Tuesday and then get sick again on Wednesday. Those will be 2 different kinds of certifications, or 2 different self-certifications. So the 3 days has to be in a row for it to count as one self-certification. And you can also get something called a sick note. If you are sick then for more than 3 days, which is what you can maximum use your self-certification for, you have to get a sick note from a doctor. So if you have used all your self-certifications, you also need to use a sick note to get paid from your work and to be absent from work. So a sick note is a message from your doctor saying that you are too sick to work. You have to go see your general practitioner or regular doctor to get a sick note. Oi. Oi. Yeah. Okay. Or you can, for example, go to a private clinic or doctor drop-in, for example. And if you don't give your employer a sick note from a doctor after being sick for more than 3 days, you will not receive sick benefits. And Saturdays are included. And when you give a sick note, you are entitled to sick benefits instead of salary from NAV. Either NAV or your employer pays your sick benefits. And you have to have worked for at least 4 weeks to get sick benefits if you get sick. So if your employer does not pay your sick benefits, you can contact JURK or you can contact NAV for help. Yeah. And if your child gets sick, you also have a right to stay at home with them. This rule applies until your child is 12 years old, and there are different rules depending on how many children you have, on whether you are taking care of the child alone or not. So you have 10 days of sick leave for caring for a sick child when you have 1 or 2 children, and you have 15 days when you have 3 or more children. And this amount is doubled if you're a sole provider. So that means that if you're caring for your child alone, or you're caring for your children alone, if you have 3 children, for example, then you have 30 days of leave. Yes.
Yes, we can talk about holiday. So everyone has a right to holiday, and you should get at least 25 days holiday per year. It is entitled to you by the law. And while you are on holiday, you get holiday pay. And the rules about holiday pay are a bit tricky and a bit difficult. So if you have any questions about holiday pay or holidays, you can contact JURK. Yeah. Now we can talk about leaving a job. It can be divided into 2. So the first is when you yourself quit your job, and the other one is when your employer terminates you. So we can begin with the question. Sarah works at a kiosk. She gets an offer in a shoe shop, and she wants to quit her job at the kiosk to work in the shoe shop. What does Sarah have to do?
Let's see, den blir oppdatert. 40 hours per week. Let's see. Give a resignation letter. Write a resignation letter. Yes. Okay.
Yes, we've gotten good answers. So, so she has to give a written notice to her employer. She does not have to explain why she wants to quit, and she has to work in the notice period. So, notice period is the time which you work after you have quit the job. It is for your employer to hire another person to cover up your job, your position. Yeah, and this is the same if your boss dismisses you. You have to work in the notice period. Yeah, and there are some things which can be beneficial to know if you want to quit your job. So you're entitled to a reference. So your employer has to give you a reference, which needs to include at least your name, your date of birth, what kind of work you have done, and how long you have worked there. You can also ask your employer to write a description of what kind of work you've done, like if he is satisfied with your job, or kind of tell about how you are at working. Another thing that is important to know is that there is a waiting period at NAV. So if you yourself quit your job, then you cannot have unemployment benefits until 18 weeks. But if you have been dismissed by your boss, by your employer, then you can apply for the unemployment benefits soon after and get them.
So that might be good to know if you are considering quitting your job without having a new job to go to. If you are dependent on getting unemployment benefits, it could be good for you to not quit yourself.
So now we can talk about when you have to stop working. So by that we mean when you were dismissed by your boss. So there can be two different situations of dismissing employer. So the one is dismissal, and the other one is summary dismissal. And there are different rules that applies in these two different situations. We can talk about dismissal first. So you will usually have a meeting with your employer before the dismissal, which is also known as discussion meeting. And then you'll get a notice of dismissal, which again has to be written. And the dismissal has to be objectively justified. So there has to be a good reason for your employer to dismiss you. And if he does not do that, then your dismissal can be illegal, and you can again contact us. Or you can also ask for something which is called
Negotiation meeting, but we're gonna talk about that.
Yes. And the notice period is at least 1 month long.
Not 1 month.
1 month long.
Yeah.
And it is 14 days if you're in a trial period.
So because the trial period is a period for you and your boss to see if you fit the job, the notice period is also shorter. And when it comes to what is an objectively justified reason, there is a legal standard for this. So it cannot be anything that your boss thinks is a good reason. There are rules and regulations about what is an objectively justified reason. So we have also brochures about this and information about this. So if you think that your dismissal might not be objectively justified, you can contact us, and you can also contact us to get our brochures which say more about what a good reason is. Right.
Yes. So as I mentioned before, you can ask for something that is known as negotiations meeting when you've been dismissed. So if you do not agree with your dismissal, you can demand a negotiation meeting with your employer, where you can discuss whether or not the reason of your dismissing is valid, what your employer has justified your dismissal in, and you two can try to find a solution together. You have to demand this meeting within 2 weeks, and it has to be written. So you have to send a written notice to your employer where you demand this meeting, and it has to be within 2 weeks after dismissal.
Ska jag ta det?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a new question for you. Sarah works as a nurse and she steals medicine at work and sells it to others. Her boss finds out about this and says that Sarah has to leave the job immediately. Is this legal? Let's see what you say. And yes, we have a question here. Can I get a copy of the brochures online about the objective dismissal? Yes, we have them available on our website, and we could show you at the end of the presentation if you would like that. We have all of the brochures in English and some also in Thai, for example, and
some other
Arabic.
languages.
Yes. Okay, so all of you say yes. And we agree with you. If you do something that's very dishonest and harmful to the job, you can get what is called a summary dismissal, which is more, I mean, it is for worse cases than a normal dismissal. So a summary dismissal means that you have to quit on the day. You don't have a notice period, you have to leave on the same day. So you must have done something very serious to get a summary dismissal, much more than with a normal dismissal. So you will usually have a discussion meeting also before you get a summary dismissal, but sometimes this can be hard to do practically because you have to quit the same day. Yes, you can also ask your employer for a negotiation meeting when you get a summary dismissal. You also have to demand this within 2 weeks. And if you do not agree with the dismissal or the summary dismissal, you can also take this to court. But a summary dismissal is more serious than a normal dismissal, which is why there are different rules for this. And some practical tips that are very important to remember if you are faced with a situation where you are dismissed or if you are called to a meeting. Never sign any papers that you don't understand or papers that you don't agree with. You don't have to sign something just because your employer tells you to. We sometimes experience that our clients feel that they have to sign a dismissal, for example, sign a paper saying that they want to quit their job. But this is never something that you have to do. And you can always ask to look at the papers alone, to take them home with you and get someone to look at them. You can contact us, or you can contact if you know someone that might know the Norwegian law very well, or if you just want to talk to a friend that you trust. And where can you go to get help with these questions about labor law? Jurk, we work with all of these types of cases, but we only take in women. We also have an organization called Jussbuss, which is same as Jurk, but they take men and women. And our offices are in the same building, so we also cooperate. And there's also the Norwegian Labor Inspection Authority, or Arbeidstilsynet. They can go to your workplace if there is something very wrong and they treat their workers very badly. You can report to the Norwegian Labor Inspection Authority. There are also specialists in the labor law, and they can answer your questions either by chat on their website or by phone. If you have a trade union, you can also contact them about questions you have in the workplace. And if you are a member of a trade union, you are also usually entitled to free legal aid from a lawyer via your trade union. You can also contact a lawyer that works with labor law. And there's also something called free legal aid that some people can be entitled to. So in the labor law area, you can get a free lawyer or free legal aid if you are dismissed or summary dismissed. No other questions about the workplace, but dismissal and summarily dismissal, you can get free legal aid for. So free legal aid from the state is only for people with lower income. So you have to have an income of below 350,000 kroner per year for single people, and 540,000 kroner per year if you are married or living with someone that you have a shared economy with. And there's also a savings limit. So you also need to have below 150,000 kroner in your bank account. So if you are below these income limits, you might be entitled to free legal aid in the case of dismissal or summary dismissal.
Yeah, so what can you do? We can give you information about your rights. We can help you write a complaint to the Anti-Discrimination Tribunal. We can also go to the meetings for negotiation with your employer. Usually we have a conversation. We write written letters to the lawyer on the behalf of our clients. And if we cannot help you, we will always refer you to someone who can. So if you have any questions, you can always contact you. Here is our telephone number when we are open. So on the telephone, we can take the cases from on Mondays and Wednesdays. On Mondays, it's from 12 to 3, and Wednesdays it's from 9 to 12, and from 5 to 8. You can always come to our office as well for the people who live in Oslo. And yeah, as I mentioned before, our offices are in Oslo, or you can also send in us a net case on www.jurix.no.
Yes, and that was it for our presentation. So that is what we had to say about discrimination and labor law. And if you have any questions,
We can also show where the brochures are.
Yeah, maybe we can show the brochure. I'm not sure.
Jag tror vi ser.
Okay. Can we?
I don't know. Can you see our screen?
Jeg tror ikke det.
Just stop screening.
You're on mute, Amor. Miss Amor, you're on mute.
Oh, hi. Yeah, hi. Hello, Miss Tuba and Miss Rida. Yeah, you're trying to get something shown on the screen?
Yes, so we're gonna
Okay,
show
we'll
you
wait.
the brochures, I think. Yes. Okay, so here's our website. We have it in English here. Here you can send us your case if you want to do that.
Okay, we see it now.
And here is the brochures. Let's just see. Here's the discrimination. Here's the cessation of employment and layoff. Norwegian. Yes. For more, click here. You can also choose here English, for example.
And you will find the brochures about any every jurisdiction we work with here. So both labor law, tenancy law, discrimination, all the brochures are on our website.
Yes.
Yeah, so all this are available on www.york.no. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
right, right. So yeah, thank you. Oh, I've got one question though. Generally, do you have a maximum allowable time frame when you can accommodate a report, like regardless of the nature, discrimination or work inequality? I'm speaking on behalf of those who, by nature, need a longer time to muster courage, to get into this whole process. Yeah. So, do you have a time frame? Like
Um,
after a few months, after a year, will you still accept the report?
We don't have a time frame, but if you want to take your case to the Anti-Discrimination Tribunal, they have a max time frame of 3 years. So
Okay.
usually in discrimination cases, that's where you'll have to take it if you want to get money, for example. So it has to be within 3 years usually.
and of
That's
course,
good enough time.
yeah,
Yeah.
different organizations have different kind of limits. So, for
Yes.
example, if you want a negotiation meeting, you have to be quick. The time limit is just 2 weeks. So, we always help where the time limit has not gone out.
Yes, of course, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
there
jeez.
is one here from Miss Tuesday. You have mentioned a while ago that you can be discriminated legally.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's correct. Can you just give us one specific example
Well, so
scenario?
you can be treated, I mean, less favorably
If we had a
because of ground, and it can not be discrimination if we have a good reason.
Mhm.
Um,
We had an example in our presentation as well. For example, in the job where Sarah did not could not speak Norwegian,
Okay.
and she didn't got a job at the NAF because the language is an important criteria to work at NAF. So there it is illegal discrimination. You can also be legally discriminated if, for example, you're way too old for a work which needs to lift a lot of heavy items, for example. So that can be legal discrimination. Or because, for example, a profession has a lot of man employers, um, and they want to promote
equality of
equality. Yeah,
genders.
and then they want to hire more women. It can also be legally correct.
I see. I have a follow-up question to that, though. Sorry, I hope you don't mind. You mentioned about that kind of work where one needs to lift, heavy weights. What if that kind of work really calls for it, like in construction field, and on can the employer actually put that on, sorry, the contract or sorry, the job hiring that they post online? Can they put it that we need someone who is like this because of the heavy lifting,
Yes.
age is from this to this,
Uh,
so we need someone.
So you cannot have a job, what is it called, ad, where you, for example, say we only want employees that are women in the age of 20 to 24. That is um,
prohibited.
generally illegal,
Mhm.
and there has to be
Mhm.
a very good reason, and that has to be um, a good reason in the specific case. But
Yeah.
generally, no.
Yeah, but you can
Okay.
have a job description that the job requires lifting heavy weights, so it kind of indirectly gets the criteria.
Or
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be the criteria, but
Mm.
for example, someone is better or could be better at the job because they have other traits.
Mm.
Okay. All right, I see. Did we answer your question, Miss Tuesday? So they are considered discrimination yet legal. Okay. All right. Annalene, do you have something?
Yeah, I do. Like, it's just very quick. I'm just curious. Do you only help for women? How about like men?
Yes, we only help women. So there is Juspis that helps men and women. But Jurk only helps women because we are also an organization that works for equal rights, and we only work with women because we want to see how the law affects women and if there are any differences in how women are being treated because the law is gender neutral, but when men and women are different in some ways. So we want to see how the differences between the genders can look like when the law is gender neutral, and we work with the political aspects of gender equality also. So yes.
Oh, I see. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, thank you. I think we're okay now. Yeah, thank you, Miss Tuesday, too, for that question. Okay, there we have it. Thank you again, Miss Tuva and Miss Rida. Anything else that you'd, like to add before we finally close this?
Just to thank you for the invite, and that there's um, no limitation as to contacting us for small questions or big questions. If you have a question, come to us. Yes.
Thank you very much for that. And now we feel protected. But yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, yes, yes. We
Yes.
believe that we just got a comprehensive seminar showing us how big the coverage your handles actually, the topics that they discussed, that they help you with, which are, of course, include discrimination, equality, even the working environment act and relationships. A very, very helpful guideline actually for those working immigrants, and they even give us some actual scenarios as examples, which are very relevant. So thank you very much again, Miss Tuva and Miss Rida. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much both for giving us your time and for the exceptional presentations. Your insights and expertise made a significant impact, and we are very grateful for your very valuable contribution. It is an honor to collaborate with you on this program, and we hope to collaborate with you again in our future projects. Bye for now.
Hade.
Okay, Mr. Moore.
So for more seminars, remember that you can find more topics on our official Facebook page at facebook.com/fhs.org.no, and watch it on our YouTube channel, the Filipino Helping Society in Norway, or visit our website as well, www.fhsnorge.org, for more updates, other information drives, and to know more about our organization. And we also want to promote the Team Newbie in Norway's activities and programs. This is Sprack Cafe, our monthly DigiSeminar, tips to newbies in Norway, and many more. So we will be launching our physical Sprack Cafe soon in mid-July, every Saturday at 4 p.m. So watch out on our Facebook page for further announcements. We'd like to add to that, we also offer free Norwegian language courses. So there you go. You see that on the screen. So register now. Um, that is in collaboration with AOF. We are offering A2 to B1 course beginning this August. Practical information about this gratis Norskapalring is to be provided by AOF. They're a registered Norwegian course provider. It will be a total of 100 hours. Free course, of course, from August to November. Um, it comes through to you digitally, and 2 evening classes of 3 hours each per week.
Interested? Apply now. Forms can be seen on our Facebook page. Application deadline is on July 15, 2024 at 12 p.m. Be part of our expanding helping society, contribute to the Norwegian community, while improving your language skills and opportunities here in Norway. And if you are passionate to help and want to utilize your skills, competence, and talents in serving others, please be one of us and be part of our community. You can register as a member and volunteer for free through our website. There are several benefits for all each FHS members and volunteers. Again, visit our website at www.fhsnorge.org.
Again, on behalf of the Filipinska Yapsamfun i Norge FHS, I would like to first thank the great people who put a lot of effort in preparing for this program. The FHS Newbie in Norway team PC Rents, hello, for technical, and my co-host, of course, Annalene, for the script. Also, I'd
Okay.
like to thank you all for watching the program. And of course, we'd like to thank all those who our participative audience, Miss Mitch, Miss Tuesday, Miss Zine, um, Mr. Mr. Zane, Mr. Amik. Thank you very much. Like to thank you all for watching the program and making it as productive as possible. Lastly, to the representatives of York, Ms. Tuva and Rita, thank you so much for your time. Again, this is Amor.
And this is Annalene, wishing everyone a safe, calm, and cozy Tuesday afternoon.
Enjoy the rest of the day, everyone. Bye. Hada.
Bye, Hannah.